All right, we're live. Sorry about the 3-minute delay. Ayatollah Al Madrasi is his name today. So we started our first discussion on this current conflict that is going on between America and Israel on one side and Iran on the other 10 days ago. It was literally the day the attacks had started. Now 10 days have passed. To my utter surprise, it is still going on. I thought, Iran would have folded by now. Just sharing my views, I thought America and Israel would have bombed the living daylights out of them and Iran would have given up. Clearly, that is not something that has happened. Iran, Iran is still holding on its own. I don't know what the situation is, but we will ask Abhijit to share his views. So, मेरे को actually my first question यही है. Are you surprised by the resilience shown by the Iranians?
Yes and no. Yes, because they're prepared for something like this, but I didn't expect them to be this tactically brilliant even in the face of conventional collapse. Because they don't really have a way of, getting back at America, but they've done a really good job getting back at American bases and at American interests in the Gulf. They've created a very solid strategic dilemma for America. And honestly, I'm shocked by this whole regime change thing that Bibi and Trump inserted for one very simple reason, that it was historically not achievable. Now, remember, there can always be new things that happen, totally new things that have not happened historically, but historically not achievable. And secondly, also historically clueless. So, on the one hand, yes, we expected them to resist, but not to resist this spectacularly. I expected the Americans to be much better prepared, because remember, this kind of damage is something the Israelis had done last time without any American help. With the might of America, you expected a lot more, the assuming of absolute air superiority much quicker, the boost phase interception of missiles to be much more thorough. Not happening, not happening. And the closest example of this, now, see, we have to understand something. Victory in war is political. Okay, you can win the battle, but you can lose the war. Actually, you can win the war militarily, but lose the war effectively. Classic example is the Tet Offensive. Now, for our viewers who don't know the Tet Offensive, there is, of course, the Wikipedia page, which I'm sure all of you go to. By the way, sorry, first of all, let me apologize. Cylinder! Ek second, beta. Let me apologize for my lateness. I was making hummus and falafel. वो जो हमने वो चने का अभी चटनी बनाया था ना, वो ले हाँ, ले आओ खोल के, वो दिखाना है लोगों को.
मैंने तेरे को फोन किया, फिर छोटू को फोन किया, फिर सिलेंडर को फोन किया. मैंने बोला कहीं तू सोया तो नहीं है. मैंने बोला भैया को उठाओ.
So I'm making यार ये कौन है? Jonathan. I am a potty, मीठा मीठा potty, tasty potty.
ए तू पढ़ना बंद कर. इसके लिए मैं तेरे को चैट नहीं दिखाता हूँ. I'm putting that person in time on.
अच्छा, okay. Now, and I want to tell you, my recipe for hummus is the best recipe for hummus. I want you all to see how smooth it is. And it is.
तूने घर में बनाई है?
हाँ, I make the best hummus. कैसे है हमारा hummus सिलेंडर? जरा बताओ.
सिलेंडर की हेल्प है, भैया ने बनाया है.
और टेस्ट कैसा है?
टेस्ट भी एक नंबर है.
हाँ.
और अब मैं आपसे अकेले में बात करूं.
ठीक है. I make the best hummus. No, I do not add olive oil. I never, biggest mistake you can do is add olive oil to hummus. Never do it. Trust me on this. Never do it. You can finish it off with olive oil, but don't add olive oil on the while you're making it. But anyway, no time for recipes right now. No, Lebanese hummus isn't best. Indian hummus is best as made by yours truly. But anyway, um, when I have my cooking channel, I'll teach you the recipe also. It's actually not my recipe, it's Sushant Sareen's recipe of all things. And
सुशांत सरीन खाना बनाता है?
no, but in his house they make uh, hummus, and it's amazing. He also taught me a way of using til direct without having to buy tahina. So it's til, chickpeas, and some secret ingredients. It's really mostly the technique, which is very good. But anyway, let's get back to this. Now, what happened in the Tet offensive was there were two parts to the Vietnam army, the North Vietnam army. There was the NVA, the Viet Minh, which was the regular North Vietnamese, and there was the Viet Cong, who were southern sympathizers of the North. Because remember, the South had become a Christo-fascist state, which was persecuting Buddhists brutally. That very famous image of a monk setting himself on fire, he's not protesting the war, he's protesting the southern government's Christian persecution of Buddhists. And imagine, Buddhists were so badly persecuted that they actually preferred communism, who didn't like them, to the South Christian government. Anyway, what happens is this forms the core of the Viet Cong. Now, the Viet Minh wanted to get rid of the Viet Cong leadership. That is one of the theories. There were few throwaway statements that Pho Nguyen Chap made. Pho Nguyen Chap is one of the greatest generals. He defeated what? Three superpowers. He defeated China, he defeated France, and he defeated America, which show that he kind of wanted to get rid of the southern leadership so that post-war it would be complete northern domination. Now, what they do is they come up with this brilliant plan on Tet. Tet is their version of Diwali. So you can think of it as a Vietnamese Yom Kippur offensive, I guess. They go in, the complete surprise attack, totally undetected. But the Americans are brilliant. They crush it within 2 days. Now, it was 5-6 lakh people going in on that one day. They crushed it. They killed about 100,000 to 200,000 Viet Cong. But the psychological impact of that, people like Walter Cronkite and things like that going and saying, they saw images of the Viet Cong come into Saigon, what is now known as Ho Chi Minh City, and fire at the American embassy, kill South Vietnamese troops in the center of Saigon. And that was the beginning of the end for America. That is when America's will to fight that war broke. More modern example is Sindoor. Does anyone here actually doubt that we won Sindoor? Whatever aircraft we lost on day one, not even on day one, in hour one, in the first hour, by the second hour we had recalibrated. And by day 2, 3, and 4, we were hitting them dhamadham, 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 doing better ballistic missile defense, better drone defense than all the Gulf states and Israel put together over a much broader attack spectrum. And yet, you go ask abroad, they believe Pakistan won. And Pakistan certainly won lots of, brownie points in the White House because they were seen as risk-taking. So the White House was very happy to, give them the cover that it was a stalemate when it very clearly was not. So victory in war is political. Now, let's come to the current situation. Are America and Israel hammering Iran? Yes. Have they killed off large parts of the leadership? Yes. Are they winning the war? No. See, when the Israeli strike happened last year, it was a very limited operation, 2 nuclear facilities and nuclear scientists and a few military people. It did not do political leadership targeting. This was typical American all spectrum targeting. And regime change is so goddamn open ended. When you make a right royal mess of things in Libya, in Syria, in Iraq, in Afghanistan, why would you do this? And yet they've gone ahead and done the exact same thing. Now, let's go into the scenario of a complete Iranian collapse. One, Iran runs out of missiles. Two, Iran runs out of drones. Okay, what is left? Well, the ground forces remain intact. You can't do air interception of each band of 5 to 10 IRGC soldiers with AK-47s on the ground. You just can't do it. The last time they tried something like this was in Iraq after the 1990 Operation Desert Storm. And they even went so far as to impose a no-fly zone just north of Baghdad and just south of Baghdad, so that Baghdad would not be able to use air power. You were not allowed to take in tanks in more than 3, 4, I forget the exact number. In spite of that, Saddam Hussein re-established complete control in the north and complete control in the south. Okay, why? Now, remember, in Iraq, there was still a more formidable armed rebellion, both in the south and much, much more so the Shias in the south, and much, much more so by the Kurds in the north. In Libya, you were able to change from the air because there was a civil war going on. Technically, these are two provinces. They were the Roman provinces of Cyrenaica and Tripolitana. Tripolitana being Tripoli, Cyrenaica being the Roman province of Benghazi, essentially Benghazi. And Benghazi and Tripoli have always have very different cultures, very different power centers. The Italians reunited it under uh, uh, um, uh, even before Mussolini. They had gotten hold of it and things like that. Their zone of influence. They grabbed it from the Ottomans, and they united it to remind them of old Roman times and things like that. And it was united in the state of Libya. You had an actual civil war happening where military units had turned on each other. And then when the NATO air intervention happened, you could get rid of Gaddafi. Okay. In Iraq, you had to do a ground invasion. In Kosovo, you imposed your political solutions, but you did not get rid of the government. The Serbian people ultimately got rid of Slobodan Milosevic themselves much later. Okay. Afghanistan, again, you had a very, very, very strong Northern Alliance, which had weakened very significantly, but then was re-energized by America and used against the Taliban. And finally, look where the Taliban are today. They're back in charge. ISIS, where all the leaders of ISIS were used to be parts of the Ba'athist government, not all, but a lot of them, who were in the Muslim Arab cultural context technically secularists, as secular as you can expect an Arab to get. And they all become ISIS. Why? Because of that idiot Peter Bremer, who went and dismissed all Baath Party officials. Now, remember, when you dismiss Baath Party, it's like the Communist Party. To be anything, to be a librarian, to be a head of toilet cleaning in XYZ district, you had to be a member of the Baath Party. You dismiss them, you've gotten rid of all of them. But in none of these places was air intervention alone enough. And where there is no credible armed opposition on the ground, there are mild insurgencies in Khuzestan and in Balochistan, Waziristan. Now, let me just do a map and show you this. Khuzestan, okay, provinces of Iran map. Wait. Okay, images and tools, we shall do high res, size large. Okay, and let me share this screen. Okay. Can we see this?
Yeah, it's up.
Okay. Now, if you look at this is Khuzestan. Okay. This is Sunni, and it has a high concentration of Arabs. This on the Pakistan border is Sistan wa Balochistan, which is also Sunni. So these are the two Sunni majority areas. Well, it used to be Sunni majority. We don't know if it's still Sunni majority areas. And these are Balochis and things like that. So just like Pakistan has a Baloch insurgency, which is Sunni against Sunni, this is Sunni against Shia. And one of the reasons the Balochis don't invoke Islam is because they are fighting on this side, they are fighting Shias, on this side, they are fighting Sunnis, which is why they keep Islam out of it.
Hmm.
Now, these are insurgencies, and they are at best low level insurgencies, because even at some place like Chabahar, which is here, can you see my this thing?
Yeah, your
Right.
cursor. Yeah.
Yeah, my cursor.
Hmm.
Chabahar is. When was the last time you heard of a terror attack in Chabahar?
I don't remember.
Nothing. So it's been a very, very long time. So, these aren't really insurgencies. Then you hear all these fantasy these things. Oh, the Balochistanis will rise, the Arabs in Khuzestan and Ilam will rise. Oh, the Azeris will rise. Boss, Khamenei is an Azeri. His son Khamenei is also an Azeri. They're the second biggest ethnic group in Iran after the Farsis. So where are so there is too much wishful thinking, and hope is not policy. I think it was Kissinger who said hope is not policy. Yes, I think hope is not policy. You can't now come like this clown. What's his name? Reza Pahlavi, the third Pahlavi. Now understand, Iranian emperors who are the third have a history of tragedy. Hmm.
Hmm.
They have a long history of tragedy. The first emperor of Iran, the first dynasty of Iran, the Achaemenid dynasty, it ended with Darius III. It ended with Darius III because Alexander invaded. The second native dynasty, purely native, they don't consider the Parthians, which is to say the Arsacid dynasty, to be native. They consider them to be semi-barbarians. But it was Yazdar III who was defeated by the Arabs, and that led to the Islamization. This is Pahlavi III. He's going to go the same way as Yazdar III and Darius III. I am not seeing, even if you pound them to the ground, destroy all their ballistic missiles and drones, even send in ground troops to extract the fissile material, I am not seeing them collapsing. Not now at any rate.
Two, three questions, because you've said many things. I have to ask, because and then we'll just jump straight to the questions like we did last time. सिर्फ दो तीन मेरे को points clarify करने. Now Trump has said, I want to. I mean, I don't know. Trump's big claim on Iran war. This is breaking like an hour ago on NDTV, boss. I don't know what is, like, I'm just quoting NDTV directly. Quote: War will end anytime. I want to end it. No, I don't know what that means. What Trump is saying, what the Iranians want to say, what the Israelis want to say, because from what I have seen, I think Trump underestimated the Iranians from where I see it. But I also think the Iranians are also doing a little bit of propaganda where I think, like, they have been pummeled enough. Now, the reality is Iran is going to lose. But the point is, what will be the safe escape for them? Because, yeah, they have, like, and America has come off very bad in the way the Gulf states have been hit, yeah, Abhijit. That means, the idea of you see, at least the perception of having an American base that you will not be attacked is completely destroyed. No. All these poor Gulf states, they got pummeled. Unnecessarily, they got pummeled.
So understand, this is the genius of Iranian tactics. this is what I said, they created a security dilemma. America was focused on defending Israel. They never put any thought into defending the Gulf. So the Gulf was effectively left to fend for itself. Now, do you remember in the last day of the last war last year, in response to American B-2 bombers bombing Natanz, the underground facilities at Natanz, the Iranians had launched missiles at, I think, Qatar or Bahrain at the American bases out there, which were intercepted. Why did you not see a sustained campaign, at least against those bases, this time round? Why is it that the burden of the Gulf states' defense has been left entirely on the Gulf states themselves? The whole point of the American alliance was that it would not be so. You can still send an aircraft carrier there. You are still not sending an aircraft carrier out there to prevent these attacks. Now, a lot of my friends in Abu Dhabi have been telling me this is entirely because, knowing Trump, he wants to make money. He knows we expend all our missiles and shit like that, and he'll price gouge us and sell us new stuff at exorbitant prices, except they're not willing to buy there anymore because America has proven itself an extremely unreliable ally. Understand the genius of the Iranian attack. It is one thing not being able to defeat an enemy, but to sow dissension within your ranks, to sow distrust and show America as a feeble and unreliable ally, where you are a number 2 rank ally and Israel is number 1 rank ally. It's brilliant, you understand? It also means America now has to decide what to do. Do we prioritize defending Israel or do we prioritize defending the Gulf? If we have to do both, how much more resources do we have to expend?
Exactly.
So they never thought through the options. My belief is the Americans were very shoddy. This is exactly like, and this Reza Pahlavi is exactly like Ahmed Chalabi. If you people don't know who Ahmed Chalabi was, Google Ahmed Chalabi. What Ahmed Chalabi was the conman who was responsible for Iraq. This clown is the conman responsible for Iran. They told him, "Oh, sir, you just have to go in and they will welcome you with sweets and flowers." That is what Ahmed Chalabi told George Bush. I'm sure that is what this big-nosed clown has told Trump.
This was going to be my third question. Was Trump basically given bad intel by his own people and the Israelis?
I think Trump makes too many of his own assessments. I think people are scared to give him real intel. Now,
So let me understand you in more detail. You're saying Trump tends to be like a more fields-based person. So
look, his feeling on many things has been quite right. Okay.
Which no, but then his staff is doing things to please him. Then it ends up being bad foreign policy, na, Abhijit?
It does, exactly. You're stuck in a bad information loop. Now, the problem right now, there are also conspiracy theories here. The Gulf believes that he's going to extort them for more weapons and more subsidies for more American troops out there.
So more money for America.
There is another stream of thought that now that America has control of Venezuelan oil, it is to get rid of debt through Venezuelan oil sales, which, the problem with Venezuelan oil is Venezuelan refineries have not been updated for 30 years. So they have much thicker crude. It's not sweet crude. So look, all towers can deal with that crude. It just has to be passed more times through the same process, which doesn't increase the cost that much. It is still a factorable cost. The issue has always been the transport all the way from Venezuela to here or to the rest of the world. Okay. Now, when the price of oil rises so much relative, Venezuelan oil finally becomes economically viable. Because if you have to, and see, it is also volume limited because you need, Venezuela is on the Atlantic coast. To go to the biggest consumers, China and India, it either needs to go around the Cape of Good Hope in South Africa, or it needs to go, which is a very long circuitous route, or it needs to, cut across the Panama Canal, which is size and weight limited. You have ships called Suezmax and Panamax, which basically determine they're the maximum that can go through Suez and Panama. All kinds of stuff. So, but again, we don't have any proof of this. With the missiles, yes, that's very much a government assessment in Abu Dhabi. And Abu Dhabi and Dubai and the 7 crucial states, they are fucking furious at the moment. They're, of course, furious at Iran, as they should be. But they're much more furious at America. Okay. So if you look at it, if the regime survives, it is a loss for America. If trust amongst allies, you've already destroyed trust amongst NATO allies, now you're going and destroying trust amongst Gulf allies, who you did not have the issue of low spending on defense that European allies did. These allies did a lot of heavy lifting. They bought insane amounts of weaponry from you, subsidized American industry big time. Tell me, are there any bigger buyers of American aircraft than Etihad and Emirates from from UAE, than
No.
Qatar Airways from Qatar, than Gulf Air from Oman? Gulf Air from Bahrain and Oman Air from Oman. Well, Oman and Gulf Air are small airways, but Etihad, Qatar, and Emirates, huge. Nobody has more 777s than Emirates, right? So this is coming home to roost quite badly for America. I suspect now there are 2 ways this can go. One is Trump will decide to cut his losses and say, "Oh, look, we've won. It's actually a great political victory. They're shit scared of us. Look, baby Khamenei never came out in public, which means we've won." And he'll declare victory and walk off. Second is you put so much pressure that the Iranians resort to a dirty nuclear device. Now, an arrow, which is arrow or THAAD, intercept at what, 80, 90 kilometers above the atmosphere, above ground. What if they do a high altitude detonation with just radioactive material? Okay. It's, boss, you've destroyed the Gulf. You've destroyed the economic miracle that is the Gulf. People won't even buy petrol coming from the Gulf because they'll believe that during the extraction process, the exposure to air would have irradiated the fuel. What are you going to do? Go back and look at the kind of deaths and anomalies and birth defects that were happening after Chernobyl across a huge swathe of Europe. Okay. These are 2 things. Now let's come to Mujtaba. I did not expect Mujtaba to get elected. I was betting on Mir Bakeri, who is a known. He's incorruptible. His daughter was the wife of President Raisi, the fellow who died in the helicopter crash some 2-3 years back. Kattar, ekdam, he makes Khamenei look like a liberal, as in Daddy Khamenei, not Baby Khamenei. Mujtaba, and I'm not referring to, Bloomberg and this and that. I have a relationship with Iran going back for 30 years more. Ever since Khamenei became chief, stories of his son Mujtaba, Rafsanjani's son, the former president Rafsanjani, of course, Rafsanjani was disgraced and removed from all power. They're notorious. Mujtaba is a known corrupt crook. His hardlinism is believed by many Iranians. And my Iranians are all the Aurangzeb Road, Malabar Hill, Boat Club Road type. So if you live in Madras, it's Boat Club Road. If you live in Hyderabad, it's what, Jubilee Hills? No, what hills? Is it Jubilee Hills? Yeah. If you live in
Yeah,
Bombay,
Jubilee.
it is Malabar Hills. If you live in Delhi, it is Prithviraj Road, Aurangzeb, APJ Abdul Kalam Marg, sorry, and Amrita Shergill Marg, those types. Okay, I admit that. I admit that, because the others don't have the ability. They keep getting cut off with no. I haven't been able to talk to them. But even those guys who are not the Aurangzeb Road types, ordinary people in all my trips, would keep cribbing bitterly about Mujtaba, and they believed his radicalism was fake because he would use it to hide his corruption. You know, it's like when a fellow farts in a elevator, you try to blame everybody else. Like, I might have farted, but I look at Kushal and go, you, uh, that kind.
I don't know. You know what my experience when see the highest amount of diaspora I was exposed to was in Canada and America. Nowhere else. They are so pro America and so anti the mullah regime that I used to be very surprised at what the reality is. And I don't know, just one last bit and then we'll start taking everybody's question. What does Israel do in all of this?
The Israelis are very curious. They don't seem to understand that the narrative has gone against them, because once America is seen as heading it, they stop worrying about PR at all. They expect the Americans to handle PR. They are only concerned about PR as long as it affects American Congress, in which case Israel is going it alone without America, like they did the last time for most part. They don't even seem to be caring right now, which is what worries me. You know, the kind of loose ends is not what we expect from Israel. All the loose ends I told you before. And then the sheer stupidity of eliminating the leadership in the first go, because you know that the IR now Iran has two militaries. It has the Artesh, which is the army, and it has the Sepa or the Pasdaran, whatever you want to call it, which is the IRGC. Okay. The Artesh is also very ideological. It is not that the Artesh is any less ideological.
You have to clarify, they have stopped caring about what?
I'll tell you. Uh, the IRGC reports direct to the Supreme Leader. When the Supreme Leader is taken out, the IRGC stops caring about the president and this transition council or whatever it is, because their orders, the only people allowed to order them were the Supreme Leader himself. No Supreme Leader, no order, which is why there was that telegram message that the Pasdaran put out, which was basically accusing Pezeshkian of weakness. And poor Pezeshkian didn't even say anything. He never apologized. I don't know why idiots were going around saying he apologized. He never apologized. He said, continue to resist. I pay homage to the 160, 180 girls who died at Minab. And that's that. And the Israelis have just stopped caring about messaging.
Do you think this operation, usually Israeli ops,
to an extent that they don't even, the number of mistakes that are accumulating are not classic of an Israeli operation. Israel makes other kinds of mistakes. They assume quick victory and things like that, even against, guerrilla forces and so on and so forth. That's a different kind of mistake. But strategic mistakes like driving a wedge between America and its Gulf allies, Iran to be able to create a security dilemma, the IRGC being completely leaderless on an autopilot mode. Mojtaba is apparently badly injured. Now assume Because of Mujtaba's corruption, he is in fact the regime change asset. Assume. Don't you think he would have come out by this time and said something, recorded a message on the side? So even though he's corrupt, he is not, he's clearly not compromised to the Americans, but he's clearly compromised to somebody else.
No.
Because remember, when you're compromised to one person, you're usually compromised to many people.
So don't you think this also shows evidence the way this operation is going on, that the Americans are leading it and not the Israelis, and that is why they are actually making elementary errors. America always has this, we will muscle you kind of an attitude. We'll bomb the shit out of you attitude.
Yeah, but see, the thing is, they're very dependent on Israel for Middle Eastern intelligence. Israeli intel on the Middle East has sometimes exceeded and been better than uh, um, American intel. Because the Israeli intel is very focused. It is from Iran to say about Morocco. And there's a reason for it. And of course, Europe and North America. Because most of the diaspora came from Maghreb, which is to say North Africa, the Middle East, up to Iran, Russia, Ukraine, Belarus, Poland, Eastern Europe, and some from Western Europe. And those emigres from there who went to North America and Canada. They don't really have great penetration in South America, in Africa, under the sub-Saharan Africa, in Asia, from starting from Pakistan eastwards. Because there was never any great diaspora. They have no native understanding of it. They're just as likely to read a New York Times or Washington Post report in India and make their decisions based on that. Have you read the kind of shit that Haaretz publishes about India? It's indistinguishable from New York Times or Washington Post. And honestly, Yediot Arnott is no better. So their knowledge is zero. No, not zero, but it's not great. Their intelligence penetration is not great. So I think it's been a case of blind leading the blind. I don't know. Maybe it was one-sided. But right now we don't have evidence to pinpoint where it was whatever.
Fair enough. All right. Now we'll go to the questions that people were asking.
Yes.
Yeah. But before that, guys, I have to share my new book is out. So if you have not bought it till now, go on Amazon right now. If you don't buy my book, बहुत पाप लगेगा तुमको. And your favorite IPL team will lose, and Abhijit will jump on you.
Yes. And we're releasing the book on the 22nd evening.
Of-
What time?
No, evening नहीं. We'll do it in the first half क्योंकि टाइटल वेव्स हमको मिला नहीं. सॉरी, ये मैंने क्या कर दिया. हाँ. So
नहीं मिला तो कहाँ?
नहीं टाइटल वेव्स में 12 बजे का टाइम मिला. सुबह 12 बजे करेंगे हम लोग.
12 बजे कौन आएगा? That is office hours.
अबे संडे है 22 को. तेरे कौन से ऑफिस चलते हैं संडे को?
Okay. Now, so come there, and just to encourage you all to come, if you can put me on full screen, I will do my interpretive dance of blasphemy.
Okay, कहाँ गया तू?
अरे तेरा चेहरा नहीं, मेरा चेहरा. Okay. मैं आपको हटा इधर से.
अबे तेरे को कैसे डालते हैं इसमें? अच्छा ये ले, तू पूरा हो गया. नहीं डाल सकता हूँ मैं तेरे को पूरा यार. एक मिनट रुक, मैं करता हूँ. मैं अपने आप को हटाता हूँ. रुक जा.
Okay, so this is the promotion, my interpretive dance of blasphemy.
हो गया तेरा? ठीक है. So
dance explaining the book.
Wow. Yeah, by the way, the link is there in the description. Order it right now. And obviously Abhijit will be there. I'm going to be there. Harsh will be there. Ami Ganatra will be there, just like last time. So come to Tidal Waves Bandra, 12 noon, 22nd March, and buy your book now. And you can also buy copies over there, but अभी ऑर्डर करो नहीं तो तुम्हारी आईपीएल टीम हार जाएगी. Now let's take the questions. All right. US CENTCOM gave intel to Pakistan about INS in Operation Sindoor. It has nothing to do with today's
Don't.
discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you watched? ये कौन सा है यार? ये lot of people have said. I have not watched anything,
I
boss.
have
I
not.
don't
I
know.
have not. Pahad and local, if you could send us a link, because I'm always looking for new people to, talk to and things. So, zarur bhejna, please. But look, what did he say specifically? All of us said there was going to be round two. I don't think anybody said there wasn't going to be round two and it had to happen. The question was, ki, what shape would it take?
Yeah. So does attacking Iran actually increase its incentive to pursue nuclear weapons as a deterrent? What prevents a repeating Israel-Iran strike cycle?
Very
You
good
covered that
question.
already.
This has It is entirely America that has created this incentive over the last 30 years since the Cold War ended. The only people that have avoided it are places like North Korea, India, Pakistan that have made nuclear weapons. People like Syria, whose nuclear weapon program got bombed, like Iran, where it could not get completed, like Libya, which gave up its nuclear weapons programs, they've all either been regime changed or in the process of regime change. You created the incentive for everybody to go nuclear because you decided the world was unipolar.
Hmm.
Okay. Now, are there more people who are ready to go nuclear? I don't think so. Iran was the one big unfinished business, I guess, from the nuclear rogue states, but whatever.
All right. Next question is chances of this war affecting the EU. Should I cancel my 2 trip to Germany in April? Oh yes. क्या लोग हैं?
Okay. Chances of this war affecting the EU, very, boss, directly very minimal. Second order effects, pata nahi abhi ki, uh, even if you look at the expat population going back to Europe and things like that, it's bound to be temporary. I'm not seeing any effects right now. And you can meow meow if you show me a photo of your koshamang show, mail it to Abhijit at ipcs.org, and I will judge. Unless it is properly blackened koshamang show, I do not accept koshamang show invitations.
What if there's a plot twist and Iran declares nukes? What the hell? ऐसा थोड़ी ना होता है यार. कुछ
You,
भी.
you can't. But honestly, if I were Xi Jinping or Putin, this is the time I would tell Iran, boss, I'm offering you nuclear weapons, and go tell the Americans I've offered Tehran nuclear weapons. If within 1 month I'm going to take Taiwan, or in 1 month you're going to see to it Ukraine collapses. If they don't at the end of that 1 month, I'm going to see to it they get nukes. Given how desperate the Russians are, and given how desperate the Chinese want Taiwan, that would be a good bargain. But that's not the way international politics works. Trump may be transactional, but Putin and Xi Jinping aren't all that transactional. They like to think that they think long term. I'm not too sure that thinking long term is actually, sometimes it can be counterproductive.
Considering the bromance between Bibi and Putin, don't you think Russia would have asked Israel to tone down
Iran,
their
Russia would have
Iran,
asked
sorry.
Iran to tone down their anti-Israel rhetoric. Um, Israel burnt a lot of its bridges. You know, that in between period, where, who was it, Naftali Bennett, or who was the other prime minister in between? They burnt their bridges with Russia very badly. Benny Gantz, I think. They burnt their. There was a 1 year period in between where 2 3 years back, where, or 3 4 years back, whenever, where Netanyahu was out of power. They went against Russia on Ukraine, as opposed to Bibi's very calibrated policy. And Russia, it did not go down well with Russia.
Okay.
But Russia never tells people, it advises people. At least people like Iran, who it deals with as equals. It treats its inferiors within its zone of influence very badly. But for them, not really.
ये क्या क्वेश्चन है, विल इजराइल और यूएस यूज न्यूक्लियर वेपन? के पागल हैं क्या लोग? ऐसे थोड़ी ना होता
If Iran uses a dirty bomb, they might.
है. Okay.
But also understand what then happens. How do you justify that we are with the people of Iran and then nuke the people? Because nukes kill people.
The probabilities of any of this happening are very low, if you ask me. Do you think there's some coherence to US actions in Iran with NSS and NDS, especially with respect to policy on ground
रुको
operation? I've
रुको
shared.
रुको, एक सेकंड. उसके पहले looks like Ismail Kani is no more. Is it
Yeah,
confirmed? Boss, there's too much bullshit going on about Ismail Kani. Is he in Tehran? Is he in Jerusalem? किसी को पता नहीं है what is happening with
I
Ismail
don't
Kani.
buy this. I don't
Yeah,
buy
yeah, I
this.
don't, I don't buy this either. And wait, you missed this thing. You missed a comment in between. All hail new supreme leader Al Kushaladid Mehrani Mojtaba Khamenei. All hail chief cleric Abhijit Iyer-Mitra Khomeini. I'm Al Madrasi Be. Long live the Cārvāka regime. Thank you very much. We support you completely. Do
Okay,
you
this
think
is the guy who met you in Raisina, apparently.
do you think there's some coherence of US actions in Iran with NSS and NDS, especially with respect to policy on ground ops? I'm not sure that, see, NSS, the national security strategy, is broad objectives. What you're looking at here is a micro analysis of Iran, of a campaign against Iran, which seems to have gone wrong. They've not thought it through. Overall, is it good if the regime changes in Iran? Yes, that is national security strategy. How you go about doing it? Can you do it? That is the minutiae where they've gone horribly wrong, in my opinion.
Good question, this one. What are the short term and long term problems that India will face due to this war? I'm originally from Bengaluru, and one of the oldest dosa restaurant is finding it difficult to stay open due to the LPG supply. देखो, small short term problems, realistic problems. मैं डोसा कहाँ से खाऊं?
See, if your favorite is Vidyarthi Bhavan, then I commiserate with you. But if you're a CTR guy, I hope the LPG supply issue affects you. I don't like CTR dosa. I much prefer Vidyarthi Bhavan dosa. Now, and this is a running dispute between me and Tejasvi, because Tejasvi, technically should be supporting Vidyarthi Bhavan. It's his part of town, but he supports CTR. I mean, he takes all his guests to CTR because apparently it's close to the BJP office. But very shocking, very shocking. I strongly condemn Tejasvi. Now, short-term problems are like you are seeing. Now, understand the LPG issue. It is a problem of gas, not of oil. Oil were well stocked up, gas not so much. We are now finding new supplies in Russia, which is happening very quickly. The Russians have been very good to us. It will take 24 days to ease up the situation, because 24 days is what a ship doing maximum speed, a gas tanker doing maximum speed from Vladivostok to Jamnagar through the Eastern Maritime Corridor. It used to take 40 days, now it takes 24 days at full speed. हो जाएगा. It is, so short term problem is temporary. Long term problems will be the loss of confidence in the Gulf if that happens. Your diaspora, it is based on business confidence that your diaspora is living off the gains of that business confidence, and it is added to that business confidence. If business confidence goes from there, security confidence essentially, which affects business confidence, boss, I don't even want to think of that. A dirty nuke, which is to say a radioactive device going off over the Gulf, I don't even want to think about that.
Is
Okay.
this war inevitable consequence of US withdrawal of Iran nuclear deal in 2018? Did the US have legitimate reason to withdraw from that treaty?
Yes, they did. There's a reason for it. See, the Israelis will argue accurately that sanctions relief was given to Iran on sanctions that had nothing to do with its nuclear program but had to do with its support for terrorism. Okay, they very successfully linked all sanctions to the nuclear program as opposed to just nuclear sanctions to the JCPOA, which is the Iran nuclear deal. We'll call it the JCPOA because it's easier. This was issue number one. Issue number two was it had a 15-year sunset clause. At the end of that sunset clause, Iran could have said, okay, sunset done. We've done all our research on the side. We've done all our dry testing on the side. Now, get lost. We're going to do what we want. And the classic example of this is North Korea. North Korea promised to, give up its nuclear weapons research. And Bill Clinton signed that deal with them for two non-proliferation reactors whose byproducts could not be used for enrichment. That program collapsed within a year and North Korea became a nuclear power. So look at it from their point of view. They want perpetuity. The problem is nothing in international relations is ever in perpetuity. Okay, in international relations, prognostication is long term when the end part of that prognostication is 30 years. In all government policy, no government plans beyond 30 years. Best practices, OECD best practices. So that's that.
I know this is off topic, but wanted to know your take. यार नेपाल election के बारे में we're not going to talk.
उसको ना रामी को बुलाओ. Rami Niranjan Desai is the
Yeah,
best
yeah.
person.
I'll call her and I'll talk about it.
Yeah, and at that point, Matt NGR, ask her because she's the best person. I am not a good person to talk to on Nepal at all.
ये सब अभी questions useless मैंने नहीं लेने. Will Iran break up like Yugoslavia?
Yes, I was born at 8:21 or something like that at night. Yeah. Please wear that ring on your index finger. I'm wearing it. You don't have to tell me to wear it. I'm wearing it. Yes.
Will Iran break up like Yugoslavia?
Not really. Not really. No. Because the sense of an Iranian identity is, it's
too
fairly
strong.
solid. It is. The Azeris, even though they're Turkic, they speak Azeri is a Turkic language. They see themselves as part of the Iranian whole. They've been part of Iran for what? Thousands of years now. Iran's current shape, for example, has been in some form or way part of Iran in much the same way as the current geography of India has been part of India. Minus, Pakistan, Afghanistan, which was part of the Indian cultural identity at one point.
Next question is very good.
Iraq was part of the Persian identity. Remember, most of the Persian capitals were in Baghdad. Tisfun was Baghdad.
Next question is very good. I told you guys he'll lose interest within 2 weeks. Look, he lost interest. By the way, do you think Dubai is going the way of Kuwait? Getting nerfed? Kuwait never recovered that virtuous cycle of non-oil wealth creation pre-1991. Very good question.
So part one, yes, I think he will. It's not that he lose interest. I think he'll want to cut his losses and pretend to lose interest. Number one. Number two, Kuwait never invested in human capital, Baba. Dubai and Abu Dhabi have invested heavily in human capital. They are moving towards what is the whole point of finance and business and so much moving to the Emirates is that they want to move away for when oil is no longer viable. Saudis came too late to the party and spent too much now. It turns out they've mismanaged NEOM very badly. But no, the Emirates is not that way. I think this situation has delayed the diversification story a bit. Would it be permanent? Possibly, depending on the scenarios we discussed. Next.
Why does India tolerate officials like Carolyn Levitt talking as if India is second fiddle to the US with regards to Russian oil? Yeah, I mean,
Do you
how
want
can you?
us? Look, every second day, some Indian leader or the other makes some comment about America. Do the Americans react to it? No. No. Why do you expect us to react to some Tatpujia like Carolyn Levitt?
Yeah, and honestly, yeah, diplomacy doesn't happen like this. यार चल ऐसे ऐसे नहीं होता है यार. Like Trump is an aberration of diplomacy. He's not the norm of diplomacy. People have to, like, Trump will be gone. We have to deal with America after that also, na?
Yeah.
Yeah, people are so like emotional about this. Yeah, अच्छा, what about Ukraine in
Wait,
this?
wait, wait. Wait, before that, Ajinkya Salve. You missed that.
Oh, sorry, huh? Sorry. I
I
reside
was
in UAE. Are the Gulf countries demanding US to stop so that their suffering stops, or they have no option but to continue supporting the US? Good
see
question.
right now they know they've very good question. See they I can tell you so I don't really have contacts in Qatar, Bahrain, very rudimentary. My real contacts are in the UAE and Oman. They are super pissed off with the Americans for not anticipating what was going to happen to them. Their own assessments apparently said it was going to happen to them. And the Americans never took it seriously. So they are pressurizing America for clarity. And if they don't stop, then at least divert more resources. They want at least 2 more aircraft carriers and emergency transport of batteries, which they don't intend to pay for because they believe America started this. They are the victims, and America should be paying for their defense, which is actually correct. But they are not making their anger public right now. They will pay back one way or another in some form or the other, but they're very, very mature leaders who don't act in haste.
Arabs को underestimate नहीं करना चाहिए. बहुत
Never
पहुंची हुई
understand.
चीजें हैं. Never underestimate the Arabs. ये अच्छा क्वेश्चन है. बेचारा वो यार जेलेंस्की क्या करेगा? वो तो इतना पिटाई हो गया, उसको सब भूल गए लोग.
So now he's being a hero because he's been asked to provide missile defense or drone defense to the Gulf states. Now, see, for me, the thing is, after you've said that Iran's stock is depleted, you are asking him to come in and protect you. Against what? If their stocks are depleted, what do they need you protecting them for? I don't know. So great, let him go. It weakens his own this thing, and now understand there are two fronts, 3 fronts that have now opened up, which are more requiring of American military assistance than Ukraine. And anyway, Zelensky is rubbed Putin the wrong way. So that's that. Okay.
Your thoughts on Ambani investing in an oil refinery in Texas? Could Indian defense exports increase due to US mistrust like Akash and BrahMos?
BrahMos, uh, I think we've exported it to the Philippines, haven't we? And Vietnam. Akash, I think because of what happened in Sindoor, its export prospects have opened up. I think we're exporting it to Armenia. The issue will be integrating it into their own air defenses. Let's see what happens out there. I think based on Sindoor, I think we've learned our lesson in integration very well. Very, very well. But no, is it understand America, the level at which America operates? We don't exactly have something in the same category to give those people, but there's a whole lot of secondary markets that could open up for us.
DRDO has actually finally worked on a salvageable indigenous fifth generation crystal metallurgy. Abhijit, is this at least a first
Really?
baby step? Yeah. I don't
Really?
know, boss.
Where?
Your field, I don't freaking follow this shit. You
I,
tell me
I
to
haven't seen it,
you
boss.
follow.
Arsemanticore, I haven't seen it at all. भाई तूने कहाँ देखा होगा जरा लिंक कर दे. I have not seen it.
Yeah, please, can you tag Abhijit on X if you guys the gentleman or lady who has asked this question, tag Abhijit on X. You know his handle.
I don't get tags from people I don't follow. So tag Kushal and Kushal will forward it to me.
Okay, tag me then.
Yeah.
Abhijit mentioned an isolated Iran is for India's benefit. So if China is feeding Iran intel via satellite info, does this ironically help sustain India's position vis-a-vis Iran? Is this another example of complex geopolitics?
Yeah. Well, I don't know about the China angle because I think it's more Russia that's providing targeting information, not China so much. Um, uh, there have been a lot of telltale signs. If you follow Detresfa, he's kind of tweeting cryptically about it, but it's more Russia doing it than China realistically. And I don't know how you're bringing India into it, but they're very grateful to us for whatever we're doing right now. Uh, the MEA, everybody have been speaking to, surprisingly, even though they hate me, is quite clear that the Iranians are happy. I met Khatibzadeh at Raisina. We had like what 30 seconds, and I just asked him very simply, "Sir, are you happy with what India is doing so far?" He said very simply, "We could do more, but you've done as much as you could under the circumstances. We appreciate that." Words to that effect. He wasn't so verbose.
You know
I did
what?
seconds. I was in the lineup, so I only got 30 seconds, and that was that. Now, is this an example? There's nothing complex about it. For us, we need it's a zero something. We can't allow Iran and Pakistan to get together. We know Pakistan will not get together. We need the Shia Sunni conflict to continue. That's it. Nothing complex.
By the way, I have to appreciate MEA's recent handling of Canada has also been very good.
Hmm.
Uh, very good. They have where they are doing good work. You should appreciate
Yeah, absolutely. Next
them.
up. हाँ
ये
ये नहीं
रणवीर
अपना
शोरी
हाँ
सही
ये
सही
रणवीर
में
शोरी सही में नया आयतोला बन गया या this Sushant Chaturvedi I quote tweeted him. It's a fantastic. We should bring that up. Just bring that up. No, it's on my timeline.
ओके तेरे टीएल पे है
हाँ हाँ मेरे
एक
टीएल
मिनट
पे है जा
साले सब मेरे को ही बनाते रहते थे उधर का वो आयतुल्ला शुक्र है अभी रणवीर को बना दिया है कहा ओ माय गॉड ये क्या है ये क्या है अरे यार बेचारा रणवीर अरे यार ये देखो someone told Ranveer Shori that he looks like Iran's leader Mustafa Khamenei dude shaved immediately and ended up looking like Iran's exiled leader Raza Pahlavi
बस इसको अपना हेयर व्हाइट करना था if he had he whitened his hair.
अरे
Yeah,
Ranveer he's a good guy though he's a
he's a
very
very
good
good
guy
guy.
yeah good human being kind person. Is
Mm.
Mir using Mujtaba as a shadow friend, or is Mujtaba being used by the IRGC as a controllable weak puppet, or something far worse is going on? How do we
We
know?
don't know. Look, Mujtaba is leverage to several people. The problem also seems to be Mujtaba is very badly hurt, or he's too scared. Now, till he is seen and actually takes command, we are not going to know because Intel games are really dirty. It is compromise within compromise within compromise within compromise at times. Okay, impossible to say. I personally feel if he comes, there has been regime change. But then, if it was regime change, why did they hit him? Well, they hit him carefully so that he would not die but be injured so that he could restate his claim. You'll be amazed at the kind of people, the people who stole the nuclear bomb designs for the USSR from the USA, from the Manhattan Project, where Russian Jews whose families had been pogromed and killed in Russia and restricted. The Tsarist regime was horrible, institutionalized killing of Jews. And they still thought Russia was the paragon of virtue and things like that, and America was this decadent whatever thing. And even though Stalin had shown how anti-Jewish he was by this time, they were still passing him information. These games are very dirty. You never know what motivates someone to do something. So next.
फटाफट करेंगे. Is the IRGC Iranian version of Pakistan Army?
This is an insult. Please don't compare the two. The IRGC has actually fought real wars. They are very smart. They are maybe the Pakistan Air Force. The Pakistan Air Force is a wily adversary. Pakistan Army is just a corrupt little bhondus, and Pakistan Navy is kind of okay. I mean, they're not bad.
Won't giving full control to IRGC lower command cause warlordism like in China after fall of King Dynasty? Bibi's adventurous behavior might damage Israel.
One second. IRGC lower command. No, because if there is a new supreme leader, they will automatically follow the new supreme leader. It's been drilled into them. Okay, in a way that Iranians understand very well. Uh, with modern psychology, modern training tactics, not how the Qing dynasty was, kind of thing. No, un dino mein, when concepts of nationhood and personal fealty and things were different, it was a very different time in this thing. BB's adventurism, maybe, yes and no. Remember, the person who will be hurt by this most is actually Trump, not BB. So BB might have pulled a fast one on Trump also. Next.
Is the lack of air superiority resulting in early direction of missile launches? Are Ukrainians actually coming to Gulf to train people against Shahid?
I don't know, because so much of Ukraine is all about publicity. He might have just said it in order to get some publicity. I think he's very upset and not having been in the headlines for 2 months
Yeah.
now.
He's
And
such an attention whore that
attention
Zelensky.
for, man, like seriously, like he's got serious ADD, and well, it's they have air superiority. I think they don't have air superiority in adequate. They don't have persistent air superiority. Let's put it that way.
Abhijit, ये मतलब
And
अभी
there's
के
no
लिए नहीं
air
है.
superiority. They have air dominance, but they don't have persistent air dominance.
Okay, somebody has told do a deep dive on Southeast Asian countries, their ties with India, present, future.
I don't deal with Southeast Asia. So this is Rami. I found Rami, who's
I'll
my
get Rami. I'll get
yeah,
Rami on this. I'll
she's
get
my
Rami.
go-to on all things Nepal, Bhutan, Indian Northeast, and Southeast Asia. I Southeast Asia is a complete blank spot in my, except Southeast Asian food. I'm very good at Southeast Asian food. Indian, Cambodian. I
फूड
make
में
the
तो तू
best
सब में अच्छा
Vietnamese.
है.
I make the best Vietnamese. I make the best Vietnamese. And I make the best Singaporean. I make the best Laksa. And I make the best Malay. But they're never going to thank me for it.
Okay, your Trump is very
But
bad.
politics, I don't know. You have to ask Rami. Okay.
No way killing Khamenei was a mistake unless it's the West puppet died in that strike. Do you think the goal was
That
to
is the
unleash the
point.
IRG?
I'm not saying. Look, it was predictable. A lot of us who've studied Iran know that the IRGC doesn't give a flying fuck for Pezeshkian or anybody else. They owe their personal loyalty only to the supreme leader. The assumption was, the Western assumption, which thankfully I never had, was that, you know, they never thought through what the IRGC would do. They thought the IRGC would be like, deer caught in the headlamps, and that there won't be a redundancy planning for the IRGC to go on autopilot. Remember, this is also my weak spot. The whole reason I thought at that point Putin, I had said Putin would invade Ukraine, just not at that point of time in February 23 or whenever. Why? Because the French were saying no, the Israelis were saying no. I generally tend to trust them more. And the Americans were saying, yeah, he's going to do it. My default is that American intelligence can go horribly wrong. I was wrong about Ukraine, but my lack of confidence in American intel, I think, has been buttressed by what's happening in Iran. it is a mistake. It is a mistake if you count the opportunity cost of what has happened.
Okay, I'm going to ration the questions now because there are many that have nothing to do with Iran. This
Hmm.
is fine. Are you guys also discussing the Thailand flagship heading to India that was bombed by Iran? They confirmed it, but why?
I don't know. They're just going. See, they can't determine who is what. They see a ship, they see an opportunity, they bomb it.
Yeah, so now let me go through this. I think oil has some role to play in it. There are talks about Khark Island, Venezuelan
Sorry,
oil sale.
one second. There's an important question in between which I want to answer. Subha Nair, don't you think our opposition made it impossible for us to win the narrative war? No. The government needs to play. तुमको पता है ना बंदर कैसे opposition में है? Then
Hmm.
you need to plan for it. You were third rate in narrative management. As per Abhijit, see, we need 100 submarines. No, I don't know what that question is. I think that oil has some role to play in this. There is talks about Khark Island. Yes, like I said, I think it has more to do with Venezuela than with this. But again, that's a conspiracy theory. It is yielding profits for the Americans, but conspiracy
Yeah, it
theories.
is never one reason. Of my experience of last 20 years has taught me that.
It is
It's
never
never
it
one
yeah
reason.
it, never ever. ठीक है. Will India defcos be able to? Yeah, we've answered this. X पे दुनिया में कुछ होता है. People talk about weaken. I don't know what this is.
यार
View
इसके लिए मैं
on
बोल रहा हूँ ना
Reliance
रिलायंस का वी हैव
refinery
ऑलरेडी आंसर्ड दिस
done. Do you think US would have attacked Iran in 26, no matter reps or Dems? Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Had this been a Democrat thing, it would have taken a different direction. Huh? And even under Republicans, had it not been Trump, had it been traditional Republicans, it would have taken a different direction. Are Chinese Russians providing satellite imagery? We know that the Russians are providing targeting of some kind. We don't know the nature of the targeting because Iranian missile attacks on the Gulf have been remarkably accurate. And it's the Russians doing it. It's not the Chinese. Maybe the Chinese are doing additional. We know circumstantially that's the Russians doing it. And again, go follow Detresfa if you want to know why. He talks very cryptically. He's not even telling me what he knows because, well, I don't even know who he is in real life. So that's that. Okay. Do you think Israel got the US into the conflict with bad intel? Like I said, we discussed this in great detail. Chirag, go back and see who played who's responsible for the bad intel. After Ukraine and China, Russia stronger now. Not really, not really. They have a good negotiating window, but I don't think they're using it. Will Gulf states still charge Asian premiums? Eh? What? What does that mean? Best submarine India by Gotland.
यार ये
I'm not.
कुछ भी है
This is
एक मिनट ये
irrelevant.
मेरे लिए है बजट
Huh.
के पॉडकास्ट में देयर वर लॉट ऑफ टेक्निकल टर्म्स आई डिडंट अंडरस्टैंड प्लीज सजेस्ट सम बुक्स फॉर बिगिनर्स हर्ष को एक्स पे लिखो हर्ष बता देगा
Can we announce Nobel to Trump? Yes. Okay. Free Balochistan. Yeah. Sure. Outrage in South Korea and the transfer of US missiles from there to the Gulf. The tourism economy took a hit from Chinese tourist boycotts when those missiles were originally placed. I don't know. I haven't been following that story, Abhinav. So sorry about that. How much claim is true about Iran have most ex-Muslims? I don't know. All I
no
know is that
it's a
most of
lot
my most of my Iranian
a
friends
lot
are much more liberal about premarital sex than most Indians I know. They're much freer about drugs and alcohol than most Indians I know. They're debauched. They're positively debauched. And I think they're the only Muslims I know who will very happily eat pork. I've never
boss
seen the kind of pork consumption in a Muslim country as I have in Iran.
so how about this in my book right I actually have a section sub small section where I call the Sartan se juda straw man I actually call it the straw man of the Sartan se juda argument and I have used Iranian data copiously. I have shown proper Iranian data to show this very thing and how criticism of Islam is increasing globally and the violence is not matching.
So
Uh,
Abhishek, I got that part. He's talking about the NSS again. Yes, restriction on ground ops. You restrict your ground ops, but why did you not prepare rebel groups in advance to take advantage of your air campaign? You see, you can restrict your own ground ops, but you can't regime change by restricting ground ops. You understand? That is what I'm saying. Overall, it is smart. In the minutiae, it's completely stupid. At least applied to this conflict. Aim, what about global economy and LPG? We've discussed this. Is the conflict prolonged? Trump did war crime. I think so. That bombing of the girls' school is definitely a war crime. There is no initially I was a bit skeptical. It was a war crime. If you had enough intelligence to know there was something hidden behind under it, then you had enough intelligence to know that was a girls' school. You had enough intelligence to know what the school working hours were. Absolute fucking war crime. Will Kurdish separatism spark? No, we've discussed this. Did you send your yellow shirt or not in Air India case?
I don't know what that means.
That was, remember, I skipped that. It didn't get sold in time. Therefore, I did not have to eat my shirt. Caveat tha, yaad rakh.
Can Trump be distracted by telling to invade Cuba? Bole, "Hey, idhar bomb maar, udhar
I
bomb
think Cuba's going to be next. If he fails here, he's definitely going to invade Cuba because that is actually an easier invasion. Not easy, easier. Will India or Europe facilitate mediation? I hope India does not get involved in this. It is not our fight. Keep the hell away from this. It is not our problem. No matter what the stakes, the one thing we should not do is get involved in this. As stated by Dubai Forsec, does Modi have the power to stop the war by talking to Iran? No, not stop the war. Please remember, we do have some ability to get a temporary ceasefire to evacuate our students like we did in Ukraine, but not stop the war. Oil gas sea pipeline from Gulf is viable? No, it has never been viable. The costs don't make any sense. If Israel has infiltrated Iranian ranks completely, then how are they not getting info about their next move will be or their stockpiles, etc.? Who told you they don't know about the stockpiles? The issue might be reaching the stockpiles. Next moves, remember, when you disrupt conversation networks, you disrupt the conversation, you disrupt the flow of intel. This is one of the classic dilemmas. When you have intel, one of the reasons people never, and sometimes it's mind boggling to people who don't work in intel, तुम्हारे पास इतना intel था तुमने किया नहीं. You are so addicted to the source of intel that you don't bomb it. Because when you bomb it, your whole source of intel dries up. This is one of the huge dilemmas of intelligence. So it's a very normal thing. Ayan Malik,
Not
Bill
only
Gates-
that, I think a lot of people forget a simple fact. A lot of intel is also analysis. And
Yeah.
oftentimes it is not infiltration, it is open source intelligence. But bad analysis of open source, like connecting the dots, also
but this
sometimes
isn't
people
open
tend to
source.
miss it.
Their information.
Obviously,
control
I'm
is-
just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Ayan Malik, Bill Gates mentioned in an interview that small modular technology, even a non-state actor can acquire. Boss, please understand, small modular reactors, first of all, are fairly proliferation proof, number one. Number two, they are extremely high tech. Anybody can't just acquire them. This is Bill Gates we're talking about after all. Third is, understand nuclear weapons are 80-year-old technology. It is the industrial investment you have to put in that is the real nightmare. Making a bomb isn't that tough if you have a fundamental state of industrialization behind you. Okay? With America behaving like they're the gatekeepers of nuclear arsenal, would this push countries? Yes, we've discussed this again, devoted Indian. Please go back and check within the same conversation. Ki mone hoy Jamaat ki power asbe in the future? This is a Bangladesh question. We're not discussing Bangladesh, the Batman. Jamaat maybe, but no, not in the foreseeable future if the Awam returns. If Awami returns, I don't see Jamaat coming to power. Is FSB providing intel to Iran in this conflict? Boss, how many times are we going to ask the same question? I'm telling you, I don't know who's providing it, but they're providing targeting. Wasn't this all started by Churchill by planning? Hey, boss, listen, first of all, get the history right. Operation Ajax, which was the plan to replace Mossadegh, failed. The American plan failed. The Shah removed Mossadegh as per the constitutional provision granted to him to sack an elected prime minister as per the 1949 constitution, which replaced the 1906 constitution. There was no coup. There was no coup. The military went in enforcing the constitutional power given to the Shah to dismiss the government. This shouldn't be tough to understand. Please go through the sequence. Ajax was officially declared a failure and abandoned. Should India make commercial aeroplane like Boeing? See, boss, we should also make, intergalactic starship like Star Trek.
We should make Pushpak Viman also.
Bhai, what kind of a question is this?
अरे यार तू छोड़ दे अरे आगे
मेरी
बढ़
क्या
ना
औकात है बनाने की? India should obviously compete with THAAD or Arrow. Our solution, see, these are categories of weapons. Okay, making a shoulder-fired missile is not competing. You are competing then in a different category. The problem then becomes if somebody is selling THAAD, in every spectrum they will insist they will only integrate their air defense system with a certain spectrum. Unless you've got the full spectrum, you will find it tough to sell. Except to third world countries that don't understand full integration or are looking to break integration cycles.
या और मैं वो बांग्लादेश का क्वेश्चन स्किप करने वाला हूँ बंगाली वाला
And
ये वाला US
I'm
doesn't
not
care if Iran is governed by strict Sharia as long as it
wait.
governs
India
all.
shouldn't obviously compete with THAAD. Acha, US doesn't care if Iran is governed by strict Sharia. Yes, of course. It is self-interest. They've called Al-Jolani a moderate. Imagine Al-Jolani being a moderate. This is why I'm telling you the Taliban are in fact highly progressive, socialist, secular, feminist within an Afghan cultural context. That's my story and I'm sticking to it. Iran, same mistake as Iraq, USA. Yeah. Has Iran punched way above its weight? No. I think Iran has punched appropriate to its weight, very appropriate to its weight. Again, go back and listen. I think you're joining late. A Ralph Peter Blood border map. What? What?
छोड़ दे तू आगे बढ़
Abhijit, Israeli Musalman is a triple agent, 100%, bro. Just saw new. I'm Boeing ka Dalla, I'm Bibi ka Tattu, and now I am Khamenei ka Jhantu, all in one. Just saw news Iran using Mexican cartel. What? ABC News? Really? ABC is reporting that Mexican cartels are attacking America with drones. Are you serious?
I've not checked the news so I can't react.
Yeah. Will
Will
Trump ever?
Trump ever-
What are they going to hit? A Burger King in Texas? Will Trump ever learn a lesson that not ungal in every country? Are you seriously? This is Trump we're talking about, bro. तू जाके बताना उसको. When is your book Blasphemy available in UK?
Next month आ जाएगी यार. It's going to be available for international buyers next month. It takes time वो Amazon का वो procedure होने को अभी तक इंडिया में है.
Can India get the Shahid drone technology? We have very good drones as demonstrated by Sindoor. Why do you want that technology? BRICS currency likelihood increased or decreased? Boss, I'm telling you, BRICS currency, you need to have similar markets to have a similar currency. You need to have similar industrial and economic cable. You can't merge four diverse regions, economies, capital rates, and things like that into one currency, boss. It is an unworkable solution.
Okay, chalo, we have done all the questions. So let's see. See, I don't know. We will do one more pod on this after 10 days again. Once I'm assuming all of this riffraff is going to get over. So in maximum 1 week, this is my assessment. So let's see what happens later on. But again,
Sorry, there's one question that isn't a super chat that I just want to reply to. Chat D4. Abhijit, aerospace engineer here. Want to move to India in some time. Will you become my professional mentor? I'm telling you as your professional mentor. Please do not move here.
Okay, so before we wrap up, once again, ladies and ladies, this is my book, Blasphemy, Let Me Speak. It is out. The link is there in the description of the podcast too. So please buy the book. And if you are in Mumbai, 22nd of March at Tidal Waves in Bandra. I'll share the links, all of it later on in 2-3 days. And Abhijit will be there. I'll be there. Harsh, Ami Ganatra, everyone will be there. This is Kushal Mehra and Abhijit Iyer
One
signing off.
quick, just because it's an interesting campaign from Ameya Rupal. Abhijit, even Albanian Muslims eat pork. Communist Party completely deracinated Islam in Albania. You know, Albania is the one country in Europe I have not been. I've even been to Andorra, but I have not been to Albania. And yes, I mean, because I haven't been to Albania, I can't tell you this. But every Albanian Muslim I know outside of Albania, they eat pork. So yeah, I believe you. Yeah.
All right, let's wrap up. All right, guys, take care. See you next time. Bye.